The way in which you work out can massively impact the way you look and the results you get from working out. In this video, I'm going to break down the best and worst ways to train if you're training for aesthetics. Number 1, powerlifting. A powerlifting style of training can lead to decent results for building muscle, but with powerlifting you tend to do lower reps, so in some instances you may not be maximizing hypertrophy. In addition to this, by powerlifting your training is specific to strength, which tends to be better at higher body fats, which isn't exactly aesthetically optimal for most people. So overall I'd rate powerlifting a 5 out of 10 for building an aesthetic physique. Number 2, bodybuilding. A bodybuilding style of training can be quite effective for developing an aesthetic physique because you tend to work in the higher rep ranges, maximising hypertrophy and enabling you to build a decent amount of muscle. However, with bodybuilding, training alone without cardio, you don't get the sufficient leanness optimal for aesthetics. But otherwise, bodybuilding training does tend to be quite effective. So overall I'd have to give it an 8 out of 10. Number 3, CrossFit. So CrossFit's an interesting one because this training style is kind of optimal for aesthetics apart from one massive issue really. The main problem I have with CrossFit training for aesthetics is that it develops a very blocky midsection because of all of the functional strength elements it requires. With this, an immense amount of core stability is needed for some of these movements, so that does tend to give you quite a blocky waist. Obviously this goes against what would be optimal for aesthetics, which is the V-taper. What CrossFit does well is that it generally operates in rep ranges that are good for hypertrophy, but can sometimes go past that to the point of training muscular endurance. It also burns quite a lot of calories, so that's good to help maintain a good level of leanness. So overall I'd have to give it a 7 out of 10 for building an aesthetic physique. Number 4, strongman. Strongman is probably the least conducive to building an aesthetic physique because of the limited cardiovascular training and the fact that that sort of training tends to be better at a higher body fat because you'll be able to lift more weight. So for me in my books it would be a 3 for training for aesthetics. Lastly, number 5, cardio. For example, running or cycling. Cardio is an excellent training style for burning calories, so it can help you get lean. However, there is minimal muscle stimulus, so hypertrophy is not stimulated, so this can lead to minimal muscle growth or potentially even muscle loss due to the significant calorie deficit. Overall, because it does enable you to get to a good body fat percentage, I have to rate it an 8 out of 10, but it can potentially have negative side effects for building muscle. So what is optimal then? What I've found is optimal is utilising both a bodybuilding style of training and cardio training and manipulating these two to get the ideal body composition. So for me personally, I'm predispositioned to having a high level of body fat, so I try and incorporate more cardio, but you'll need to adapt these ratios according to your personal needs. Powerlifting may also be incorporated, but for me personally, the potential risk of injury leads me to lean more towards a bodybuilding style of training in opposed to powerlifting. So hopefully this video has helped you, and on that note I'd like to thank you for watching.